I just want to start off this video by saying that if you haven't seen The Mandalorian Season 2, we're going to go into spoilers into almost every section here, and I don't want to ruin it for you. So, yeah, you might want to just come back after you've seen that, because, like I said, it's so amazing and so awesome. Those surprises should not be ruined. Hey, Rob from Morty42 here. Today, let's talk some Star Wars, right? I mean, come on. We've been talking about a lot of different specific things, but now that the Mandalorian Season 2 is over and we're looking forward now to all of these new shows on the horizon, movies coming down the pike there, let's talk about some of it. At first, I wanted to talk about Rogue Squadron because, well, let's just be honest. Wonder Woman 1984 came out on Friday, which was Christmas Day, and yeah, so the reception wasn't exactly the best. I know that the Rotten Tomatoes score had dropped from 89% down to 67%, and I believe it's even lower than that now. So it's one of those weird things where, you know, you've got this director that's sort of on a hot streak, get announced for directing a movie in the future, and now, based on the success of this other film, not even in the franchise, people are worried about the upcoming one. People are worried about Rogue Squadron now because they watched Wonder Woman 1984 and they weren't impressed. With Patty Jenkins sort of talking about the problems when it comes to Wonder Woman 1984, and then the immediate reception after it comes out, and there's a lot of people that are saying that it's a terrible movie and it's this and that. I don't think it's terrible. I just think there were some problems. And there were some things that they, could have ironed out to make the movie even better. I still say that even though I gave it sort of a low score, I still think it's worth watching, especially if you already have HBO Max. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. But I get it, that when you see a movie like that come out, highly anticipated, hot stars, hot director, and it just doesn't deliver, that it starts to make you think, well, is this person even right for Rogue Squadron? Is this person right for Star Wars? Well, I am one of those that thinks that, well, directors don't always bat 1,000. Directors can, even with the best intentions, make movies that aren't well received. It's happened before, and it will definitely happen again. I don't think that we can look at the fact that, at least from my perspective, that Wonder Woman 1984 didn't deliver doesn't mean that she won't deliver when it comes to Rogue Squadron. I mean, we're still, what, 3 years away? I mean, there's plenty of time here. And then they even said, Warner Brothers said that they were so happy with Wonder Woman 1984 and the reception that it got, that they are fast-tracking a Wonder Woman 3 with Patty Jenkins. So I don't think we have anything to worry about. I think it's going to be okay. I mean, if we want to get closer to release, maybe the first trailer comes out and we're like, I don't know about this. Okay, that might be time to start to worry. Now, though, with the Season 2 finale now behind us, now we've had time to sort of think about what the future is, especially with the Book of Boba Fett kind of coming into the mix, that there's the possibility of 4 series that are basically going to, like, interweave themselves together story-wise. There's a lot of things to talk about here. I think the first thing is, who's the villain going to be? Because they are definitely seeming to kind of tilt toward this idea of having almost a supervillain kind of thing to kind of over all 4 of these series. Obviously, I think most people would probably say Grand Admiral Thrawn is definitely the number 1 candidate to take that place, especially in this time period between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Snoke hasn't made his presence really known yet. The First Order is still in the shadows. The Empire is pretty much defeated. Moff Gideon was only in control of what appears to be a small subset of Imperial outliers, and we're talking about the remaining forces of the Empire after Battle of Endor. So Thrawn makes the most sense. What I find really interesting is that Bo-Katan has talked about how Mandalore is not in their control. Now, who's in control there? I mean, it almost makes you think, is Thrawn in control of Mandalore right now? Who's in control of Mandalore? The Empire is pretty much defeated. There's only these little cells that have continued to thrive. Is that what's in control of Mandalore? We don't know yet. And that's going to be a really, really interesting plot thread that we can unravel once we get there. The Book of Boba Fett, of course, raises a lot of really, really interesting possibilities of where they could go with this. I've been saying for a long time that I wanted a story set in the Star Wars universe that was sort of away from the heroes, away from the main action. Kind of like what's the crime element in Star Wars like? What's it like to be in the, do we get to see, some of the regular folk that are out there and what they think about the Empire versus I guess it'd be the New Republic at this point. There's a lot of questions, and it could be a really, really interesting way to delve into some of those sort of, lesser known areas of the Star Wars universe. Who's going to be in these series? Are we going to get people like Cad Bane back? Are we going to get Dengar and Bosk and I mean, who knows? We don't know yet. And that's what's really kind of fun about this, is that we really don't understand how far this is going to go. Are we going to see Kerry Russell's character, Zori Bliss, in there? I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways, when Disney first took over from Lucasfilm, they were really trying to distance themselves from the prequels. And now it seems like they're starting to try to distance themselves a little bit from the sequel trilogy. So I'm kind of wondering if they're going to bring in somebody like Zori Bliss. I don't know. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can go, and there's so many different areas that you can really delve into. What are they going to do? We don't know yet. We know really even less about the Rangers of the New Republic. I mean, there's almost no information on what that's going to be. And we just know that it's supposed to take place during the same time period. And Ahsoka, I mean, the only thing we really have to go on is the fact that she brought up Grand Admiral Thrawn, So that's really the driving, that's what she's headed toward. That's what she's working toward. So it's really going to be interesting to see how these four series work together in concert to try to tell one big story. One of the things that I thought about it and I really liked is I would love to see, Boba Fett sort of rise in the ranks, which I guess maybe he's already, in control of this criminal element in Star Wars. Maybe he has to fight Thrawn for a completely different reason than the heroes. So they're all like, they both sort of, they're not really teaming up, but they're both fighting him, and they're kind of like looking over and they're like, hey, it's Mando. What's Mando doing here? You know what I mean? It would be kind of cool to see Thrawn make enemies on both sides, even though Boba Fett and I would think the Mandalorian, Bo-Katan, all of them, they might have some issues together. There's so many different ways that you can go. Is Boba Fett going to try to rise up, raise his criminal empire enough to where he can try to make claim to Mandalore? We don't know. There's all kinds of things that they could do, and I think it's amazing. It's an amazing time. One of the remaining questions that I don't really hear anybody talking about is these four series are going to supposedly work together, right? Well, how are they going to be aired? Like, how are they going to come on to Disney Plus? The only thing that we really know is when Kathleen Kennedy said that the Book of Boba, or the next chapter, would air in December, and then of course the tagline at the end of the season finale said the Book of Boba Fett starting December 2021. What we don't know is the Book of Boba Fett going to play out and then we go back to the Mandalorian and then Rangers of the New Republic, then Ahsoka or whatever? I have an idea that I think would be really, really interesting, and it's really ambitious. I don't know if they could pull it off, but go with me here. I feel like in a lot of ways, they're trying to sort of tap into the same kind of feeling that the MCU gives, where all of these different movies have connecting points, right? They kind of interweave themselves into each of their stories and into each other's stories, I could even say. And it's really rewarding for somebody who takes the journey along with them, I'm wondering if maybe, just maybe, they could air these series concurrently. Meaning, one starts on Friday, then there's one on Tuesday, then there's another one the next Friday, and they sort of jump in between. It's one of the things that I think from a comic book fan standpoint, it's one of the things that's really amazing. Like, if you're a comic book fan, it's really amazing if you can afford to purchase all of those titles, because they all seem to work together, and they're coming in and out of this story and then over into this one, and then it's an amazing experience. But is that something that you could pull off for a TV show? The one thing that I keep thinking is that it's the one thing that we've never seen before. We've never seen somebody do something like that, and I feel like it's an experience that could be brand new. I mean, it's one thing to have, oh, this show is doing this and this show is doing this, and oh yeah, we'll cross over for an episode. Yeah, but how about 4 different series interweaving themselves in between each other, and you have like a 3-month period where it's just this huge sprawling story over 4 different series? It could be really cool if they could pull that off. It would take an amazing amount of planning, and I don't even want to think about how much money that would cost, but wow, that would be really, really cool. Here's the final topic that I want to discuss here today. And it basically kind of revolves around something that I said in the Mandalorian Season 2 finale, the rescue review that I did, when I said that Star Wars is back, and it's back in a big way. I had a couple of comments about that, and saying that, Star Wars has been back for a while now. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. To me, especially, like I said, sort of judging the responses that I was reading online and from some of my friends, really, the Mando Season 2 finale sort of fulfilled the promise of what it meant to these people, that Star Wars was coming back, right? That when they first heard the news that Disney was buying Lucasfilm, I mean, the first thing that these people did is they got upset, because the first thing Disney did was wipe out all the Legends material, right? I mean, there's the Thrawn trilogy, there's Shadows of the Empire, there's X-Wing books, the Jedi Order books. All of those stories, they continued the story of our original trilogy characters, right? Han, Luke, and Leia. That's what they wanted. That's what they loved. And Disney came in and said, nah, none of that's canon. So many of you already probably know this about me, and some of you who don't, I'll just tell you, I'm more of a Lucas purist, right? I never was a huge fan of the expanded universe really at all. I didn't really care for the Thrawn trilogy. I mean, I gave it a shot, but a lot of it just came off as fan fiction to me, and it just wasn't my thing. I mean, it just didn't seem to fit with sort of the feel that I got from the original trilogy, and enough that when Lucas basically came out in some interview and said, yeah, they can do whatever they want over there, in those expanded universe stories, but yeah, if I'm gonna do a movie, in that same era, whatever they're talking about, I reserve the right to pretty much just ignore what they've done. So it sort of gave me the idea that it really wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the effort to read some of those stories and to get, actually attached to them. It was just something that I felt. And so when Disney came along and basically threw away Legends and said, yeah, none of that stuff matters anymore, we're starting over, all of that stuff is now Legends, I was like, yeah, fine. I didn't care about that stuff anyway. But if you remember, I feel like that's when the divide started, because a lot of people were really upset about that, because they felt like, oh, look, I put all of this effort and this time into some of these characters, into some of these stories, and now you're telling me that none of them matter? And then, I saw plenty of threads on Reddit and different forums everywhere, basically saying, no, they're fine. It's just, they just, they don't have to acknowledge them. But if you like them, you like them, and just enjoy them. Like any sort of fandom, there can be that disconnect point. I've talked about the disc. What I don't even know if it's a term, but I'm coining it, and it's trademark Order 42. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. But I feel like it's a real thing. It's the disconnect point. It's the point where in a movie you can sit there and you can watch it and you're into it and you're learning the rules and the way that the world works and you're learning the characters and all this stuff. But if something breaks, if something doesn't go the way that you think it should, or in some cases breaks its own rules, this happens a lot, sometimes when that happens, you automatically start looking for the other bad things. Right? You're already looking for the cracks in the armor. You're looking for the different problems. And they just start to rack up because you can't get into the story anymore. You're too busy looking at the faults. So I feel like the disconnect point for a lot of fans really happened even before The Force Awakens came out. They were already confused by why you would continue the story and not use the original trilogy characters. I mean, like I said, they reset Han and Leia, back to, basically before A New Hope. Luke turns around and doesn't even say a word. And then of course, The Last Jedi happened, and we all know how that went. And then Rise of Skywalker, they tried and failed to try to bring everybody together. And in trying to please everyone, they really didn't please anyone. Now, that's not to say that if you enjoyed those movies, or even parts of those movies, some of those movies, whatever, that you're less of a fan or more of a fan or anything like that. I hate the gatekeeping that goes on in pretty much any sort of fandom. I mean, it happens with sports teams. It happens with fandoms like Star Wars and Star Trek, and it happens with cars, and it happens with all these different things. There's no reason for that. We're all a fan of Star Wars. We just like Star Wars a different way. But one of the things that really kind of, just kind of opened my eyes was when I saw the reactions to Luke at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. And people were brought to tears, the same way that I was. It's a thing where it started to make me realize that maybe the disconnect happened long ago. And the reason that they're having these tears is because they're finally fulfilling that promise of what they thought it meant to have new Star Wars movies and TV shows. Star Wars can be enjoyed by a myriad of different people, right? There's people that are really, really into the Jedi and really into the lore of the Force and what it means and all that stuff. Some people just like they like the bounty hunters, the smugglers, and the crime element, stuff like that. Some people are really into the Empire and really love that stuff. The fact is, there's people watch Star Wars for many, many different reasons. And there's just because somebody hasn't seen this or they haven't experienced this doesn't mean they're less of a fan. They're still a Star Wars fan. So the idea that when I said Star Wars is back, it meant that Star Wars is back for everyone. I feel like we're in an era of Star Wars that we've really never been in. It's a level of excitement that kind of reminds me of the years before the Phantom Menace, because everybody was just so excited. There's very little to complain about right now. I mean, we've still got our people that say that Kathleen Kennedy should be ousted and all that kind of stuff, even though, she produced The Mandalorian, which everybody seems to love. We're in a good place. Let's not fight about things. What are we fighting about? Seriously. I gotta say, right now, I'm really enjoying what they're doing. And we're talking about in all aspects, right? I mean, they've done some amazing stuff with The Mandalorian. I'm really excited to see what they're doing with movies. The book series are, going to start popping off in the next month. I'm really excited about that. I've already read the first chapter of the High Republic series, or the first High Republic book, and was really impressed, like totally sucked in one chapter. I'm excited to see where things are going. And of course, all the different series coming, the cartoons, it's good stuff. We got games. I mean, what more do you want right now? I mean, I think we're in a good place. So I know. We went on a pretty rambly road there. I mean, we took a lot of forks in the road and all that kind of stuff. But now we're here, and I'm really curious what you think. Leave your comments down in the comment section below. Let's talk Star Wars. Let's talk about all this stuff. Do you think that Thrawn's going to be the big bad of all of these 4 series that are coming out? Do you think that I'm right? Do you think Star Wars is back and it's back in a big way? Or do you think, no, the Star Wars we knew is gone forever? Let me know down in the comments section. I would love to have a conversation about it. And, if you like this video, hit the like button. It really does help out. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. We've got plenty of content coming. So thank you so much for watching once again, and we'll see you on the next one.